you remember yesterday, we talked about the sensor I'm wearing right now in order to understand how I feel when I eat things. We have a couple of results for that. Let's show you. Let's show that. And can I use the clicker? You just throw it up. OK, so there we go. Lovely. So a sensor like this keeps then monitors the blood levels I have, or the blood sugar levels I have in my blood. And as you can see on this this image here, a normal good day, the measurements don't vary too much. But then I tested a couple of things. Tested sushi. Sushi was a killer. But take a look at this. What a spike. Something like 30 minutes after I had the sushi, it spiked. And it went through the roof for like these, of course, the orange line is some sort of the highest level you should be at. In my case, in the red line, you shouldn't go under too much. So a super spike. It kind of explains why you sometimes feel drowsy after having sushi. And of course, what it is, it's the sugared white rice that gets straight into your bloodstream. Interesting enough, a far higher spike from sushi than from a 100-gram bar of chocolate that I had. Once the levels had subsided a little, I could experiment again. Interesting enough, a banana has the same effect, at least on me. I wouldn't know about you guys. Same effect as chocolate. Bananas are killers too, apparently. So it's really interesting when you get accustomed a bit more to seeing yourself in this digital world. And yeah, I heard about sushi. It shouldn't be super good for you. I knew that chocolate wasn't super good for me, but I thought at least that bananas weren't that bad. And sushi sometimes is being classified as something good for you to eat. But at least for me, it's not. So as of yesterday, having seen these things, I decided to quit sushi. I will never again have sushi in my life. Because if I have a lot of sushi, eventually my health will be severely affected by it. So I've stopped. And that's the direct effect of me seeing my data. Not by a dietist saying or telling me, you should probably not eat sushi. Now I know. These are the hard results in. So, very interesting experiment. And I will continue to experiment for a couple of more days before the sensor leaves my body. Or I might permanent it, because I think it's a really interesting thing to keep track of. That's just one sensor. Our bodies will be full of sensors a few years from now. Okay, enough said about me. Let's get into the real deal here today, which is talking with fantastic people that we have brought here for your sake. And we'll start with talking about India. India is a fantastic country, far, far away, huge, immense, has a lot of things speaking for it. But we have here with us today Sanju Malhotra and Prajit Patel. Please come up on stage. So Sanju here is of course, the founder of the Tasting India Symposium, which is like this. Though, since it's India, I expect something like 1 million people to be present.
Not really, but it's an advocacy forum. I mean, we started this with India, is huge. We have 1.3 billion people. Every 50 kilometers to 100 kilometers, the culture changes, food changes. And I think that just to showcase this food diversity in India, that's where we started. But then we said, how can we talk about that if we don't talk about food and sustainability and food and security? So suddenly, we created something which looked at 3 pillars. And then we said, we have to actually get into advocacy. We cannot just create discussions. So we've created a movement where we managed to get government, private sector, and the influencers in the society together. And now our goal is to take this and bring it out in the world and find those connecting points, specifically like with the Nordics and with Sweden, you know, bring interesting innovation, bring science and research to India and use that, you know, use these connectivity to create a sustainable future. Like Macron said, there's no planet B.
There's no planet B, absolutely not. So we threw up here a slide called Our Mission, 10 Pillars of India Food Manifesto. What is this India Food Manifesto?
So, you know, the Nordics in 2004 came out with a new Nordic Kitchen Manifesto, which I think the reason we are sitting here today is because of that manifesto. And it changed completely the entire food scene in the Nordics. It created more consciousness. It was talking about eating seasonal, local, taking care of your animals, ethical rights. I mean, it really, you know, sort of looked into that whole spectrum. And for me, that has been a fantastic inspiration. So we looked at that, and then we said we came out with the Indian Food Manifesto, which we launched last December, and the Swedish ambassador was there to also endorse it. But also the different authorities in India, like Food Safety Authority of India, restaurant associations, because we need all of them to sort of get on board. So this is the idea behind the manifesto is to bring change. Talking about creating a smart food network where we are looking at what is good for us, good for the farmer, and good for the planet, and such, you know. So there are different points, and it targets different industry, including the travel and tourism. We have a distressed farmers sector. And how can we help these small farmers to find other sources of income? Can farm stays be a potential way? So it's sort of, we want to do this kind of circular economy thinking and bring that out. We want to influence people to bring the change.
Okay, wonderful. Because it's kind of interesting, because I don't know if it is true or not, but a lot of Indian farmers actually commit suicide because they can't support themselves.
It's terrible, and that's one of the things also that we discuss. But also, for example, in our first symposium, we had a representation of these 4,000 female farmers from Uttarakhand. It's in the northern part of India. They all decided to go organic. They have small farms, but they all work with their hands. Now they want to find market linkages, and for the first time, farmers sat on the stage with chefs, and this hasn't happened before.
Okay. Interesting. And you have some people here that
Yes. So yeah, we did a number of things. Like one of the things we started was a Young Chefs Forum for Sustainable India to bring change. The other thing was this campaign, which is Eat Like Your Grandma, because we think there's a lot of wisdom in the past that you can use, and we can bring that forward. And these two young ladies, they started this company based on millets. Now, millets is extremely good for us. It's great. It doesn't require so much water. And this is something that we really wanted to push out. So they cooked pancakes with millets, and they cooked, I don't know how to, if that...
No, let's play it's a movie, right? So let's play it.
Oh, sorry. No?
Can we play it from the...
Yeah. Thank you. If you can play it, that'll be great. We're here with Slurf Farm. You have two ladies who started a sustainable business for children in India. Please tell me about the driving forces behind your company.
Sure. So we're two moms on a mission to make really yummy products made just the way you would at home for children, and sustainable products with traditional grains, just the way our grandmothers did.
We believe that we want to bring back traditional Indian ingredients, and millets is one of them. They're a powerhouse of nutrition, and we have lost them, and it is very important to bring them back into our diet. Just one fact for you, ragi has 10 times the amount of calcium as rice or wheat, and it's a great first weaning food.
Thank you. For example, if sushi was made using millets, maybe your sugar level wouldn't have been that high.
I would love to see such a solution because I love sushi, right? So
Exactly. So this is the kind of, this is where innovation and science and technology comes into play to actually bring out old traditional produce, but in a modern way.
yeah, no, it's really interesting. When you talk about India, I mean, there are so many potential connections between the Nordics and India. We can export manifesto, you can export back great food culture, but it could also be a lot of tech companies like. Pradeep, you come from Intello Labs.
Sure.
Fantastic example of a super high-tech Indian company that could come here actually and sell your technology. And you can bring back Swedish companies.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
what Sanjoy is saying is really interesting because India is definitely one of the largest agriculture markets. It's the total value is over $274 billion. And only if you look at the retail side, the grocery side, it's the 6th largest in the world, and it's a large exporting market. But what's really interesting happening now in India is, the nano car, right? It disrupted. So similarly, innovation is happening in India where the price is affordable for farmers. And so basically what we have done is created a you could see here. Our idea is to create a digital laboratory, which is mobile. So basically giving power to the people. And and why I would say it's incredible India, this was not an idea we came up with. We were good in image recognition. But in 2016, September, the government of Rajasthan launched RFQ saying, we would like to digitalize this grading because the farmers are not basically getting the right pricing, and we want to make the whole supply chain efficient. So that created it's like Sweden had in the late 90s when we got the safety belts. So India is also pushing by technology, trying to create new innovation. So what we have done here is basically you just take, for say tomatoes, cardamom or wheat, basically, you just use your phone and take a picture of it, and you can get a quality grading and so on. So first of all, the wastage goes down, but also you get a better pricing and so on, transparency. But I think the real potential, as Sanjoy is saying, is, still the startup world in agri-tech in India is very small if I compare it to rest. But look at the market. That means there's a huge potential for Swedish or Nordics or European startups to really enter the market and create a change. Also the farmers, I think there's a change. There's 58% of the population of India is still dependent on the income from the farming. But what Digital India also wants to do is to basically create more from low value farming to high tech farming. So there's another income source for these guys. So I think what I would like to say, I'm basically an entrepreneur, been here in Sweden, but I see a lot of things from Sweden. We can go to India, and from India, as you were saying, what are we doing for the rest of the world is we are creating the nano disruption, low cost, high tech, which can be done and spread for a lot of people.
No, it's really interesting because as we learned yesterday as well, we talk about billions of people who actually work with farming. It's a very distributed, small-scale operation, even though it's being funneled up into large international corporations. So helping all these billions of people with high-tech solutions that are deployable on a cheap level, then you've really solved something, right?
Yeah.
And all the farmers in India, I guess they have, phones and, modern phones. And there's this Indian smartphone at $1 or something like that.
It is. I think what's also happening is, which maybe we are not reflecting on, that India is a center point where a lot of the American companies, the world's largest agriculture companies are there. So if you have a fantastic product, suddenly you will from India go to rest of the world. Like for us, we are now entering in Israel, we are in Malaysia and Indonesia. And so I think it's a hub where if you have good products and services, you will be in a very competitive market. If you succeed there, then you'll succeed anywhere.
Exactly. So it's not New York anymore. It's you go to India. If you can make it there, you can make it.
Maybe you should have a song for that.
We should write a song for that. You come up with the lyrics and we'll sing it. Is that a deal? Okay, lovely. So how will we connect now with between Sweden and India?
So in December, between the 3rd and 6th, we are doing our 3rd symposium, and the focus will be Nordics, revitalizing sustainable food culture in India. And you are of course going to be our VIP guest.
I think all these people will be the VIP guests, right? So.
No, really. I mean, you're really welcome, and I hope I can send you more information, and you could please share it.
We will definitely share it with the audience here, and then we'll come up with a delegation. And
perhaps next year I can bring a delegation from India with companies like Slurp Farm and others, because I think that'll be really great to find these connects. And in fact, tomorrow in Smakapo, Stockholm, we have a young female chef. She was the youngest female chef from India who's been preserving the Parsi food culture, and she's going to be part of the Global Chefs Manifesto with SDG2 advocacy group that we are collaborating with. And so if you go to Smakapo, Stockholm, so we're already doing this. We're already starting the, the connecting.
We're starting the connections overseas. Okay, lovely. A great pleasure having you here, Sanju and Prajit. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.